Welcome to the Pavilion HyperOS User Interface Overview, part of the Pavilion video series. I am Kostas Apopoulos, the Chief Field Technology Officer for Pavilion Data. I'll be joined by Phil Aronowicz, one of our Senior Principal Solutions Architects, who will actually be delivering the demonstration. As part of this video, we're going to give you the overall look and feel of our user interface. This will include our dashboard, which shows health and overall performance. We'll then look at our system health features and hardware topology, system utilization and capacity management, and then really look at some of the configurability and flexibility for all the storage types we have: block, file, and object. We'll then look at the system management configuration and overall external systems integration capabilities, as well as reporting and resource utilization. Before Phil actually gets into the demonstration, let's give a brief overview of Pavilion's scalable architecture. The picture on the left is a rear view, picture on the right is a top view. We have a multi-controller architecture. We can have up to 20 independent storage controllers, all with their own CPU, memory, and network. We have up to 72 NVMe drives that today could lead us up to almost 2 petabytes of usable capacity. We can have up to 40 100 gig Ethernet or InfiniBand ports, all tied together by a 6.1 terabit PCIe switch. All this internally packed into 4 rack units. The result is a system that can deliver up to 120 gigabytes per second read and 90 gigabytes a second write. Up to 20 million read IOPS and 5 million write IOPS, all in the latency range of 25 to 100 microseconds. The Pavilion scalable architecture delivers not just performance, but unrivaled performance density. Now, let's get to the demonstration.
So when you navigate to the URL of your Pavilion Hyper-Parallel Flash Array, this is your initial screen, and you have a couple options. If you have your system integrated with LDAP or Active Directory, you can log on with those credentials. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to log in with our local admin account. We're presented with a dashboard that gives you an overall view of our system health, performance over the last 6 hours, as well as some capacity-related information. This is a fully populated chassis, so you see we have 20 controllers and 72 drives, and the green checkboxes indicate all of the components of the system are healthy. If there was a component that was suboptimal, as an example, we would see an alert icon in there. In the middle of the screen, we see the overall performance of the entire array over the last 6 hours. What I really like about this is the ability to select a specific time period. You just drag over top of it and it'll drill down to give you a more detailed view of performance at that particular time. We'll give you capacity trends, the total raw capacity of the system, how much of that is configured and how much of that is used. In the lower right hand corner, again, we see we have 72 drives in the system across 4 media groups. We have 40 volumes that are host assignable or accessible. And it'll show you if you have any snapshots or clones configured for data protection. On the left toolbar, we'll see we have 5 major categories. System, which is going to give you the overall configuration and health of the components of the system. Storage is where you'll spend most of your time. From an operational perspective, this is where you go to configure block storage devices or set up file systems or object namespaces. Configuration is where you go in to configure system-related integration like SMTP and NTP, integration with SNMP and so on and so forth. Control panel, this is where you'll go in to set up things like access control lists. And one of our new features, connect to an external array for tiering of our file system. And finally, reports is where you go to view performance-related information, capacity-related information, and such. Across the top toolbar, which is persistent, you'll have the ability to go in and look at any active alerts, any currently running tasks, any sort of notifications, and the question mark box here will link and launch you into our user guide. So just to drill into some of these, again, system gives you overall health and configuration information of the system. This is one of the screens that I love the most. It gives you a top view as if you had opened up the chassis, and also a rear view as if you're looking at the back of the chassis. Everything is color-coded, so we see each of our media groups or storage zones and what controllers those are associated with. Each line card has 2 controllers in it. So here we see line card 1 has controller 1 and controller 11. Zone 1 is controller 1 through 5, and we see that's associated with media group 1, color-coded. If any of these components were suboptimal, instead of seeing green, we'd see red here. And again, if we click on any of these, it's going to show you performance-related metrics associated with the item that you click on. If we go down into management, it's going to show you the status of your management cards and the IP addresses configured for active array management. Controllers gives you the ability to power controllers on and off, set the protocol associated with the controller, and define any routes you might need. Drives, I really like this screen. We're very transparent in what's going on in the components of the system. So here we see each of the 72 drives, and we actually show you the endurance of the NVMe SSDs that are in the system. Fans and power supplies just show you the health and activity of those components. If we drill down into storage, again, we can go in and see each of the I/O ports, the devices that are associated with them, MTU information, IP address information, total number of volumes assigned to a controller, etc. The media groups gives you the ability to create, manage, delete, assign media groups to specific protocols. Over in block storage, this is where you have the ability to create block volumes, snapshots, and clones, assign them to hosts and controllers. We go ahead and check on any of these. We see the volume, the controller that it's associated with, any hosts that are accessing that, and any snapshots or clones that are created for those particular volumes. Over in file store is where you go to create and manage your PHFS file systems. And object store is where you go to create your object store namespaces. If we go into configuration, this is where you would go to set up integration with things like syslog, SNMP, SMTP, as well as integration with Graphite for detailed metric monitoring. Alerts is where you go to define thresholds for various components of the system that you want to be alerted upon. Media group is where you define which RAID types that you want to be able to leverage for the media groups in your system. And upgrade, I love this. Upgrading is as simple as going to this section of your URL, your user interface, click on upgrade, select the component, whether it's the whole chassis, an individual controller, or management card. Browse to the ISO and click next. You're off and running your upgrade. As simple as that. Over in reports is where you can create charts to view performance-related metrics. In ranking tables, you'll top end lists for the defined components, storage components of the system. Over in storage is going to give you a list of all the host assignable volumes in your system and some details around that you can sort any methodology that you'd like. And the events timeline is going to give you a running task of every alert, configuration, you name it, that has happened on the array. Everything designed in the UI is kept with user ease in mind, because we want the experience and the adoption to be as easy as possible for our customers. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you for spending time today to learn about the Pavilion Hyperparallel Storage Arrays user interface. If you want to learn more, check out our other videos at www.pavilion.io, or reach out to us via email at info@pavilion.io, or of course, always call us on the phone. We'd love to hear about how we can help you solve some of your most challenging storage-related business problems and ultimately deliver great outcomes to your business. Thank you.